Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dodo. I read a lot of romance books and I almost didn't make this video, but I can't deprive you guys of my favorite reads from 2025. So today we're going to talk about the top 10 books I read in 2025. I read 175 books last year, and these were the top 10. The 10 reads that really stood out the most to me, that really stuck with me, and the books I'm still thinking about, even 10 days into the new year. I would say that all of these are in no particular order because it's really hard to rank the best books that you read in one year, except there is one book that stood above the rest of them, one that I would consider my favorite book of the year, and this should be a surprise to literally nobody, but that book is Heated Rivalry. I picked up this book the day I found out that HBO was going to be streaming it on release day. When the show was originally announced, it was only going to be streaming on a Canadian streaming service called Crave, who made the show. And I held off on reading the book because I really didn't want to read the book, fall in love with it, and then not be able to watch the show. So when HBO said that they were going to be streaming it, I picked up that book the same exact day and fell in love with the story per usual. I mean, it's a sports romance, it's a hockey romance, it's a queer hockey romance. Of course I'm gonna fucking love it. I've read so many books like this, but this one stands above all of them. I don't know what Reid put in this book, but I am basically addicted to their story. I'm addicted to these characters. I love them so much, and something about them really makes you feel so seen as a queer person. So I love them to death. And then not even a week after I finished this book, the show came out, and then I became obsessed with them all over again. And I've been in this trance of Shane and Ilya and Heated Rivalry, and I have not left since. I'm still thinking about them day and night. I was basically reading this like it's the gospel, like it's my fucking Bible, because I would watch the episode, reread the parts in the book, and then I would read the next part of the book to see what the upcoming episode would be like. And when I say that the show is basically bar for bar the book, it's basically bar for bar. So anyways, they have really fueled my obsession, and I have not been able to leave since. And all of that to say, it just ends up being my favorite book of the entire year. Love them to death. Can't wait to read the rest of the series so I can get even more Shane and Ilya. And as I'm speaking right now, we just found out yesterday that they're getting a third Shane and Ilya book this September called Unrivaled. I'm very excited. So yeah, love them. And again, the rest of these are in no particular order. The next book I want to talk about is a book that I read simply because I have a Fairy Loot subscription. Put myself on the wait list a year before I got off of the wait list to sign up for the subscription. When I got the email from Fairy Loot, I was really confused because I don't remember putting myself on the wait list, but I know I did because I was oh yeah, this was a newer subscription. This is their romantasy subscription. And when I got the email, I decided to research what the book was going to be. If it seemed up my alley, I would sign up for it. If it didn't, I would just skip and not even do Fairy Loot. But the book seemed pretty good, and the artist for the special edition cover is actually one of my favorite artists, so I was yeah, I'll definitely get the book, whatever. And then I opened the book and I was oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking love this. This is the Fairy Loot edition to Warrior Princess Assassin, and looking at the cover, they're all hot. They're all hot, they're bisexual, I love them to death. And because this is a polyamorous relationship, I kind of was oh, I'm so ready for this. This is gonna be so good. And it was so good. The fantasy in this is pretty low level. I don't want to say that there's no fantasy, but it's just very beginner friendly, which for me is great because when I'm reading a fantasy romance book, I'm hoping for a little bit more heavy on the romance and light on the fantasy, or evenly 50-50. I like fantasy, I like the setting that it provides for our characters, but I am looking for romance at the end of the day when I'm reading a book like this. And so this was pretty heavy on the romance and the character dynamics, which I love. And something that I think is really hard to achieve when you're writing a polyamorous couple is that you have to have their dynamic, all three of them have really good chemistry with each other and as a group as well. So I think that was really well done in this book. All of the challenges that they face, all of the characters' history, and all the new things that are happening all together really make for a kind of an angsty story, and one that you're just really hoping that ends in a really happily ever after. And this book actually ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so there is a second book that is gonna come out about these characters, and I already know I'm going to love them. But yeah, I love this book. It is the only fantasy book that is on my top 10 list, and for good reason. I mean, again, it's a queer story, they're bisexual, they're all hot. What's not to love? Never Will I Ever is the next book on this list. This is actually part of a series. It is book 2. The first book is called Don't You Dare. It was a book that lived on my TBR for the longest time. I decided to read it and I was I just need to know what this is about. So I read it, I really enjoyed it, and then when I found out that the main antagonist from Don't You Dare has his own book, I was stop everything, I'm gonna read it right away. And that's this book, Never Will I Ever. Again, this book follows the main main antagonist from the first book. His name is Avery, and spoiler alert for Don't You Dare, but at the end of Don't You Dare, Avery outs his teammates in a very, very public way and gets expelled from college. The person that turns Avery in is named Caleb, and he is the other character in this book. After the fact, after he gets expelled, Avery's father tries to help him get kind of back into the good graces of the dean, because the dean's brother runs a summer camp, and so he gets a job at this summer camp, and his co-camp counselor is Caleb, the guy that turned him in, that got him expelled from school in the first place. Tensions are super high because they have to work together, and the romance is pretty unexpected. Like, obviously neither one of them was expecting that to happen, which is why I really loved it. And I also love a redemption story, and I do think that Avery does redeem himself in the end and goes on a journey that is about growth and love and really accepting who you are. And he really tries to battle the internalized homophobia that like lives inside of him, and Caleb helps him with that journey. It's a beautiful story, easily one of my favorite books of the year. Very unexpected. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did, and I just knew I love him. I've reread this several times. Like, it's so good. Please go read it. When I saw this next book, I knew immediately that I was going to love it even before I started reading it, and I was not disappointed at all. This book, Not Safe for Work, is a workplace romance between two people who are kind of workplace rivals, but it's a little bit more one-sided because one of them's actually kind of a nepo baby and the other one lost a promotion to them, and then it becomes, you know, all that tension and all that angst and anger builds up, and they kind of don't like each other, but it's kind of one-sided. Tris works for this company that is largely male dominated, and she lost out to a promotion to Rafe, who is the like son of the person that owns the company, or like the CEO in charge, the person who's fucking in charge. Okay, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what it was. So she has a lot of resentment towards him for that reason. When their company announces that they're going to send two people from their branch to a work retreat to gain like leadership knowledge and kind of help them develop their careers, Tris and Rafe are the ones that get picked, and they have to go together. And she's like, okay, whatever, I'll just avoid him. I'll just try to like do my own thing and worry about myself and kind of get the most out of this leadership retreat, except the hotel fucks up and they have to share a hotel room. So not only is she sharing a hotel room with the man that she lost her promotion to, but she also can't avoid him. Like, he's everywhere, and he kind of inserts himself into a lot of the situations. Like when she's talking to other people from other branches in the company, he inserts himself and she's getting really fucking annoyed, but at the same time they have insane chemistry. Like, these two meant to be. And when they finally hash out all of the misunderstanding and everything that they've kind of experienced together at this company, they learn a lot about each other, and in the end there is a lot less of the resentment and a lot more of sexy tension because they're just hot together. I love them, and I really like the way that this book explores women in male dominated fields and how that looks and how other women are actually like people who may not be able to help you in these situations. I thought this book explored that really, really well. This next book is a book that I kind of dubbed the book of the summer. I thought that this was the perfect summer read, and I seriously think I'm going to reread it every single summer because it's just so perfect. And that book is Love is a War Song. This book follows our main character Avery, and she is a Native American pop star who has a magazine cover that goes super viral, and actually a lot of people are fucking pissed off about it. So she kind of gets canceled, and her mom, who is also her manager, says, hey, we need to send you away, so you're gonna go stay with my mother, your grandmother, a person who she has never really met before and has been very distanced from, to kind of lay low for a little bit. Her grandmother lives on a reservation in Oklahoma, and Avery gets sent there. She's very much a fish out of water. She's not really sure what the fuck she's doing there, and she's really not happy about it, but she knows that her career is in jeopardy, so she has to basically go into hiding. When she gets there, she meets Lucas, and he works for her grandmother, and because Avery feels very like disconnected from her culture, especially being like kept away from her family for so long, he offers to kind of teach her more about their culture. I love a classic like fish out of water story. I love seeing characters in situations where they typically would not find themselves and being really uncomfortable and vulnerable with that, and this book displays that very well and like very beautifully too. I think that Avery really embraces the kind of situation that she's in, and she learns to really love the community that she is surrounded by, so much so that she like doesn't want to leave. Even when her mother's like, hey, let's go, she's like, no, like I love it here, and I really do want to be more connected with the people in this community. It's a beautiful love story. I loved it so much. It's perfect. It's literally the perfect book. Could not recommend this enough. We have another perfect summer read. I read 10 Allie Hazelwood books this year, and I loved so many of them. And while it was hard to pick my favorite Allie book, It's kind of undisputed. Problematic summer romance had to be the one. I am not new to the age gap romance. I'm true to this. I love age gap, and when I found out that this was an age gap, Maya and Hark, oh my god, sexiest people alive. Like, seriously, the way that Ali Hazelwood can write an age gap romance, that was what I needed this year. That is what I needed. This book was so delicious. It is set in Italy. They're there for a wedding. They try to stay away from each other. I love the way that this book, which doesn't really happen a lot in age gap books, but they explore the dynamic of like the problematic nature of their relationship because of the large age gap. There's definitely problematic stuff in there, and they definitely talk about that a lot more than I was expecting, which I really like. It's kind of like the elephant in the room of every single age gap book, and they tackle it really well, and I just love the way that it was written, and I just love the way that they are with each other. And I love all of the old man jokes that Maya made towards Hark, and I love how he kind of just took it and was just like used to it. And I also love the Lucas and Scarlett cameo. I love everything about this book. It was perfect. It was really hard to pick a favorite Ali book for the year, but this, undisputed, my favorite one. And it has entered in my holy trinity of Ali Hazelwood books. This next book is the last book in a series from Sara Cate, the Good Brothers series with the Prodigal Son. I have to say, this is my favorite series from Sara Cate. This series, dare I say I love it more than the Salacious Players Club, which I never thought would ever happen. The way that this book and this whole series tackles really, really hard conversations, especially connecting like faith to everything, which as somebody who has a really complicated relationship with religion, I think that this was the type of stories that I needed. But especially this last book, something in me literally cracked wide open reading this. Sara Cate is a fucking legend for it. This book follows Isaac Good, who is largely not present in the rest of the series because he ran away from his family because their father is a crazy homophobe who used to be the pastor of this like mega church that their family is like a part of or was a part of. But Isaac ran away and became a very famous country music singer. He goes by a completely different name and is touring the country and has wild success, except the world doesn't know that he's gay and he's keeping that to himself for now. And then we have Jensen, who is, because the mega church that the Good family used to be a part of was ran by their father, they have to have a new pastor, and that new one is Jensen, and he is also gay. Struggle with it in a way that like his family basically sent him to like conversion therapy. And when I tell you, like, it's just, I gotta hug the book. It just like the way that it was written was so like gut wrenching, and it's like so hard to describe because you love these characters, you love them together, you love that they get to go on this journey together. It ends in a happily ever after, but it's still so hard to read and to know that that happened and that happens to people everywhere. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say about it other than I loved it. And this whole series is amazing. I think that I need to reread all of it. I can't have a roundup of my favorite reads of the year without including at least one historical romance. And my favorite one of the year has to be A Tropical Rebel Finds the Duke. I actually read this one on audio, and the audiobook is amazing. 10 out of 10. Beautiful narration. This is the last book in the series and the one that I was really anticipating. Adriana Herrera is just in a league of her own when it comes to historical romances. I have loved every single one that I've read from her. They are so well crafted. The stories and the characters feel so real. I think when I was reading this and I listened to it on audio, it felt so real. And I know that there's a lot of history that's injected into this book, much like every other historical romance that you read. This just felt extra special and done with so much thoughtfulness and care. And it just, I don't know, I am like, if you told me that these two people were real life people and she just wrote the book, yeah, I would believe you. I would 100% believe you. And of course this is based on like real things that truly happened, and you get a really amazing romance out of it as well. I definitely highly recommend the audiobooks because again, it just immerses you into the story that much more. And yeah, go check it out, please. The next book is also an audiobook that I read, and I can't believe it took me this long to listen to an Emily Henry audiobook, but when I finally read Funny Story by Emily Henry, I was blown away by Julia Whalen's just talent and the way that she tells stories and the way that it was delivered. Everything about this audiobook is chef's kiss perfect, and the story is also amazing. Funny Story easily became my favorite Emily Henry book. It was pretty unexpected because, to be honest with you, I have been very detached from Emily Henry in general as a reader. I didn't really like Happy Place, and I really didn't love Book Lovers either. Like, something about these books I felt really disconnected to. I just didn't feel the same way that I felt about those books that I did, Beach Read or People We Meet on Vacation, which I read so long ago. So I've been really hesitant to read Emily Henry books. So when I decided to check out the audiobook from the library, I was like, we'll give it a shot. And I was not familiar with Julia Whalen's game at all. She is very obviously a powerhouse in audiobook narration. She did a phenomenal job. And she doesn't need to be told that because she fucking knows. You can just tell. She knows what the fuck she's doing. She knows that she's talented. She knows that she's amazing. That story was so fucking good. And I love Daphne and Miles. Like those two, I felt that story so deep in my heart. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even really know what Funny Story was gonna be about. So I was like jaw-dropping the entire fucking time. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I was like, I can't believe this is happening right now. I knew nothing about the story. And I think that's what made me really enjoy it more because I just went in blind. And I just went in to have a good time. And I left feeling warm, fuzzy, and yeah, one of the best books I've read, for sure, for sure. And then the last book that I will be talking about is Feast of Fools by Naomi Loud. This is actually the only dark romance book that I put on my top 10 list. I read a lot of dark romance that I really liked this year, but this one definitely stood amongst the entire crowd. Naomi Loud writes the best dark romance books. I devoured this book. This is book 2 in a series, and it is very dark. They're villains, they're horrible people, and in the end, you get to see them fall in love and really do a bunch of crazy shit, and it's crazy. But yeah, I loved it. It's also a queer story, so like, duh, of course I'm gonna love it. But yeah, Feast of Fools, devoured it, ate it up. I'm so excited for the rest of the books in this series. I know I have to be patient, but it's really hard. They're so good, and I just like devoured it. But this is like a captive romance, which I was super on the fence about, but I know that I can always trust Naomi Loud when it comes to writing books. I know I'm gonna love them all. I've loved every single book that they've written, and I just have to trust that they know what they're doing. Anyways, friends, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I love talking about the books that I love to read, especially when it comes to a yearly wrap up. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite read of the year was, and I'll see you guys next time.